all ran. Locals say it was the ghost of a woman who had... Figures with glowing eyes, twisted bodies, and impossible shapes have been spotted around the globe. They watch, they follow, and sometimes they vanish, yet proof of their existence remains. Watch closely. See was never meant to be found. Not many dare to wander the forest alone at night, but one man did, and what he caught on camera was horrifying. He saw a woman standing near the fire, and she looked completely possessed. But the real terror was behind her. A massive, horned figure hovered over her, clearly demonic. It looked like it was guiding her through a dark ritual. Things became clear that the ceremony was forbidden, meant to call powers humans were never meant to touch. The man didn't
seem to I dropped out. I had to reboot
right away, leaving one thing clear for the viewer. Some people seek the devil willingly, and sometimes...
I had a few weeks peace with the reboot, and now it's doing it again. I think it might have something to do with the sun, like Grass says.
Times he answers. Headless creature. CCTV footage from a quiet street captured a disturbing sight late at night. At first, it looked like a normal dog, but as the footage continued, something horrifying became clear. The creature had no head at all, just 4 legs and a tail moving on their own. Many who watched
Welcome back,
it wasn't an animal at all, but a ghostly entity revealing itself in a twisted form. The footage ends without explanation, leaving behind a chilling question. What exactly was roaming that street that night? Reptilian abduction. A group of friends went camping in a forest, expecting a normal night. But things went wrong when one of them disappeared. His friend went searching, and in the dim light, he saw something terrifying. A reptilian figure holding what he had been looking for. Its scary face and long limbs were unlike anything human or animal. It was clearly the sighting of a reptile. But before he could react, the creature noticed him and ran. Fortunately, his friend was safe. In a similar incident, a security camera in a Russian cemetery captured a horned figure sitting on a tombstone. When a man approached, it vanished. Both cases suggest that these beings move unseen, hunting across worlds, waiting in forests and graveyards alike for their prey. Winged intruder. During a midnight shift at a remote jungle rest house, a security guard checked the CCTV, expecting nothing unusual. Instead, the screen showed a figure standing just outside the entrance, something that didn't resemble to the forest. It appeared close to 9 feet tall, with huge leathery wings, more like a prehistoric creature than a bird.
Wow.
The being stood still.
It looks half bat. Look at its ears.
For a brief moment, almost observing the area, before quietly slipping back into the darkness. When locals later saw the footage, many identified it as the Ahu, or forest crawler, a jungle cryptid from old stories. Some believe these creatures are ancient survivors hidden in treetops, while others think they appear briefly from another realm. Soon after, the rest house was shut down, and the mysterious visitor never returned. Forest confrontation. A leaked video revealed a terrifying scene, as if a doorway into a satanic world had opened deep inside the forest. A priest stood there holding a cross, facing a monstrous demon tied to a chair. Its goat-like head, huge horns, and strange body movements were frightening to watch. Around it, several entities with glowing red eyes stood quietly as the priest continued the ritual. Many believe this was a secret rite at the entrance to a cursed place, where an ancient evil had lived for years. The clip feels like a warning, A rare moment where we saw a battle that was never meant for the public and never meant to be witnessed at all. Winged creature. There were always rumors that the village mountain area held a winged creature, also known as the Guardian. The theory suggested that he sat on the cliff at night until dawn, guarding his territory, not only from the villagers, but from animals as well. He made sure that no one entered the area, and anyone who did could not leave. The man didn't go near the creature, but he made sure it was captured clearly on camera, keeping it as proof for the skeptics. Mothman encounter. A couple decided to take a shortcut one night, but it quickly turned into a terrifying experience. In the middle of the road, they saw a bat-like creature.
I will say this, there's going to be some bodgy ones in there, but there's some legit ones as well. And these were done before AI. I don't know if this one was, but they've been doing this stuff before AI. They've been doing this stuff that I've been following for about a year or two. And sure, some of them are bodgy and some of them are misread, but some of them are interesting, and that happens often enough to make it interesting.
Large, dark, and frightening.
Because these are the things that'll where men's hearts will fail them. These are the things they're talking about, I reckon.
Yeah.
Things like this.
Yeah. As they zoomed in, camera showed what it was holding, and the sight was horrifying. Soon they realized it was the legendary Mothman, known for luring people into darkness. And tonight, it was doing the same.
Ay, Dios mío de mi vida. ¿Cómo te pases de lanza, ven?
Snow creatures. In the snowy wilderness, a hiker expected nothing more than scenic views, but he got something unusual. He spotted creatures
Hey,
with
Andrew, good to see you, mate.
postures and even tails. At first, they looked like lizards, but they were walking on two legs. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. The creatures moved quickly, almost fleeing through the snow. Their movements both strange and unsettling. They could be an undiscovered species, perfectly adapted to the harsh, frozen environment. Feeling a mix of fear and curiosity, the hiker decided it was safer not to follow and turned back, leaving the mysterious beings to...
And Diane, don't forget the Kandahar giant. So this sort of stuff is out there.
their snowy world. Till this date, the location is still unknown.
And that Kandahar giant, it had a spear tip that weighed 9 pounds or something. And I thought, how do they smelt iron in a cave when they're giants? How did they do that? Because they must have had some way of manufacturing these swords and knives.
Satanic disappearance. A camper got lost deep in the woods, and while waiting for help to arrive, he was forced to stay in the jungle. That's when he captured something no one could believe. It looked like a cult was in the middle of a satanic ritual, possibly with one of them offering their soul to the devil. However, the camper stayed calm and recorded the entire incident on his phone camera. Later, when the footage reached the authorities, a rumor spread that the woman seen in the video had gone missing 2 months earlier. This evidence could finally close the cold case. Pale humanoid. A woman noticed her farm animals suddenly running in fear across her field. Something had clearly spooked them. She quickly drove closer to get a better look. As she arrived, she saw it. Standing in the middle of the field was a pale humanoid figure. It didn't move normally. Its body twitched in an unsettling way, as if it struggled to stay still. For a moment, it just stood there. Then it vanished. But the encounter wasn't over. Moments later, the figure appeared again, partially hidden in the field, staring straight at her. The video, later shared online, left viewers deeply disturbed because whatever scared the animals was still watching her from the shadows. Brazil werewolf. A quiet evening in Brazil suddenly turned tense. Strange howls came through a man's backyard, sharp and unfamiliar. He grabbed his phone and began recording.
What's that?
When he aimed the camera into the dark, slowly, a figure came into view. It had a long snout, wide ears, and a body that didn't look fully animal or human. The way it moved felt wrong, almost unnatural. For a moment, the man froze. Was it just a wild creature? Or something far older from local legends? Some whispered it looked like a werewolf. Others say it was something else entirely.
Hey, Phil, good to see you, mate.
Cautious visitor. Homeowners were left terrified after noticing a tiny creature moving around their house late at night. It was a small humanoid figure, walking cautiously. What made the sight even stranger was that the creature appeared scared too, as if it didn't know where to hide. It kept searching for corners and dark spots, moving nervously like it was trying to escape being seen. Some believe it was a ghost that had lost its ability to stay invisible. Others think it may have been an alien being that accidentally entered the house. Whatever it was, its presence left the family shaken and unable to explain what they witnessed. Horned Omen. A group of explorers entered a cave in search of rare artifacts. As the
Okay, it's voted no for that. Fair enough. I believe some of them I don't. But they can't all be fakes. Okay, where is it? Oh, where is it? I got Tony here somewhere. There he is. I know it's not. Hang on, I have to look him up. God rules. God rules 2. Is that?
Oh yeah, it has definitely changed, my friends.
Okay, it's 23 hours old, guys.
This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. Yeah, it's getting a little bit crazy out there. We got The View, what Joy Behar just said. You're not going to believe it. We'll get into that. We have so many other stories. We have a shocked police chief. Pretty amazing clip. I'll show you that. It shows you that everything is starting to change. And of course, they're trying to predict something, which is kind of hilarious because they're making it happen. And we got so many other things. We have Matt Damon on Joe Rogan. And just yesterday, he had a clip as well that came out. You got to see. Let's just get into this. We'll start here. We'll start with Joy Behar from The View.
I really worry about that Trump is looking for this kind of pandemonium to go on, like you just described, so that he can declare martial law or something, and also cancel the midterms.
Well, under martial law, you won't have elections.
Yeah.
That's what she said. But listen,
because he's worried. He
well,
even said,
to administer
if
the
the
elections
Democrats take
country,
Congress next time, I will be impeached. Which means that.
So, of course, they're trying to set this thing up like he's going to do this, right?
Diane, what was the Tooth Fairy's greatest trick to convince people he doesn't exist?
Amazing is they're the ones setting it up. They're the ones setting it up. I have a clip that is pretty surprising.
Welcome back, Talia.
I'll show you in a little bit. The police chief was shocked when he heard this. All right. Actually, yeah, let me just show you a little bit of this. Look at his face here. Look how much his face changes when the mayor of Minneapolis says this. Let me just play the clip so you can see for yourself. All right, check this out.
And we're in a position right now where we have residents that are asking the very limited number of police officers that we have to fight ICE agents on the street.
What?
To stand by their neighbors.
Do you see his eyebrows go up?
We cannot be at a place right now in America where
Man, you can't sketch the coppers on the people. Wow.
we have two governmental entities that are literally fighting one another. Why are we
Look, he just like closed his eyes like, oh my God, what are you saying, dude?
put in this position? We're put in this position because we have approximately 600 police officers in Minneapolis, far fewer that are able to work at any given time.
Of course, you can see his face right here as well. Really? I'm going to be fighting other government agents. I'm going to be fighting those in ICE, apparently. This is what the mayor Frey there says. And so you get the idea. You can see that they're
So you get mayors talking like that and gene up the public. You get enough of them with a bit of intelligence and you can bang on a civil war. They've got all the goods there now to do it.
really cost.
England's about to hit civil war. France is having trouble. Iran's having civil war. The whole world's gone crazy.
This to occur. She said, Joy Behar said there that, oh, he's going to try to bring out the Insurrection Act, right? But they're literally making it happen the way they're doing this.
I like when Megan Kelly exposes a view. She gives them heaps, and she's always right.
They have people stealing guns from ICE agents now. Okay? Here's Matt Walsh talking about, we'll play the clip in a second here. We can swoop into a foreign country, take their president in the span of 90 minutes without a single casualty, yet we allow these fat, retarded losers to commit federal crimes every single night, right out in the open, in our own country. We could put a stop to all of this. Every one of these degenerates could be a cage and get one right now. Wow. This is, let me just show you this clip here. Nick Sotor put it out, showing what they're doing here. Check this out.
I think they're looking for Bobo. He called one of them a bad name, so they're looking for him.
Oh my God.
Look, it even looks like Bobo. Oh, you're gone, Bobo. They're going to get you, mate.
Dude's got face tattoos and he's stealing a rifle. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, these guys are innocent. They're just standing up for Renee Good. Yeah, it looks like it's not really. Stealing everything, as you can tell there, out of the vehicle. I showed videos yesterday. I'm going to show some in a little while. It literally looked like a zombie apocalypse in some areas. Just hordes of people surrounding these ICE agents in their cars and their vehicles, attacking their car, and the ICE agents just sitting there in the car, not even doing anything. And they're literally yelling at them, throwing stuff at them, attacking them. All of this over allegedly Renee Good.
I think ICE has been rather restrained against the public because they get a lot of crap and protests on them as they're on the job, and very rarely do they lock someone up for it. They do, but it's not like when the Democrats had the power of the coppers
Being killed.
where they could just muck you around.
Check this out. Let's see what Osmongold has to say about this.
And they're letting this happen. Yep. And by the way, do you think this is a conscientious objector to ICE? Of course not. This is a guy with face tattoos that just stole a gun from a federal car.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you something. I've never met somebody with face tattoos that was a good decision maker. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Probably pretty rare. Let's just put it that way. And there's a few out there. You got some.
In jail, if you got tattoos on your face, you're considered a bit of a dickhead because unless you can fight like a thrashing machine, you don't get tattoos on your face. and none of them can fight. That's why they get all mouthy with their tattoos.
I've met maybe one or two. You know what I mean? I mean, there's also musicians that do it. Obviously, they already got a huge career going. I've seen a few. I've met a couple of them, but there's not very many. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, it's obviously just chaos. It's just them committing crimes. They're not peacefully protesting someone's death. They're just doing violent crime. And
I moved up here in 2011 and I did start going fishing, but I never caught anything. So I tried 3 or 4 times and just give up because I didn't know how to tie the hook on properly. I just didn't know what I was doing.
doing things and attacking people that are trying to uphold the law, trying to enforce the law. That's what's really going on with this whole thing. And it's just kind of amazing.
Andrew, fishing from the rocks, that causes more death in Australia than any other sport. Fishing from the rocks and you get hit with a big wave. Our rock fishermen have got to wear jackets, life jackets by law.
So they're trying to say, look, he's gonna put in martial law. You're the ones making all these criminal decisions and causing all this to happen, and then are trying to almost like force this to happen, right? It's just so weird. And we're going to get into a ton of stuff. We have what's going on with gold and silver. Banks could be going bankrupt over this, believe it or not. Check out this clip from Redacted talking about this.
So 800 million ounces per year. Bank shorts on silver, 4.4 billion ounces, according to some reports. By this estimation, if silver keeps going up, the biggest banks in America will collapse. How are they going to cover these shorts? Some investors are seeing a big trap here. Many banks are barely covering their asses to stay afloat.
So, of course, talking about certain investment moves, shorts, they're assuming that it's going to go down, which you would think it would because it just keeps going up. We'll see what happens. But if it doesn't go down, they're going to lose a ton of money, and some of these banks are hanging on by a thread already. So this is what he's talking about. At any rate, it's wise to get gold and silver because they're expecting it to go up another 50% this year by July, like crazy. So if you're interested, you can buy some linked below at mex.com. Also, check out The Lost Ways, how to live without electricity, how to make fun. Do all the things around the house you need to know how to do if you had no electricity. Get the printed version, $37. You have also you have also our game we're developing.
Hey, boss, good to see you, mate.
$400 to their seat. Amongst the shareholders, 33% of no VR profits set aside for those that invest. Link is in the description for that as well. Let's get back to the video. So we have here all the corrupt politicians. We're talking to Minnesota. Don't obey the law. Stop professional agitators, insurrectionists from attacking ICE, who are only trying to do their job. If they won't stop doing it, he is going to institute this act. And it's hilarious because you had The View, you had Joy Behar. He's going to do it. Well, if you guys would stop, causing riots and attacking ICE and stealing their guns and destroying property, and maybe they wouldn't have to do that. You're literally causing it to happen, almost like you want it to happen for some reason. So then you can say he's a dictator, he's a horrible person. Is that the reason why you're doing this?
Yep.
That's a question you have to ask. So it may honestly, it looks like it might very well happen. We have here Tim Waltz with a message that he just came out with. Check this out.
News reports simply don't do justice to the level of chaos and disruption and trauma the federal government is raining down upon our communities. 2,000 to 3,000 armed agents of the federal government have been deployed to Minnesota. Armed, masked, under-trained
Tampon Tim, how can you take him straight? Look at him.
ICE agents are going door to door, ordering people to point out where their neighbors of color live.
No, they're not doing this. What the hell is he talking about? Neighbors of color? Really, dude? This is how you're going to play it.
They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including
No.
U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers.
So he's trying to make it look like it's some sort of Gestapo or something. This is insane how he's framing this. It's all about those that are illegal immigrants doing fraud in your state, which you apparently don't. You just turned a blind eye to it. You turned a blind eye to it. You're acting like it's not happening. We've pointed out numerous examples of this on our own channel here. You got Nick Shirley pointing out lots of it. He's got some new ones he just pointed out. Matter of fact, we'll play those clips later. I think we're going to play it on this video. Is it the one we're playing on this video? Or maybe it's on the other video. I'm going to play it over on my other channel, actually, I think. I got some Nick Shirley clips to play over there pointing on new fraud. Seems like
Tell
they find
ya.
new ones all the time. It's kind of crazy. Numerous different scams being done. We're already on like the third or fourth type. It's not just learning centers. It's home medical. It's transportation services. It's a lot of other stuff.
Nah, I'm going great, mate. When I hung up yesterday, I was a little bit sick. I didn't tell you guys that, but I was a little bit sick, and I was sick in the toilet once I hung up. I don't know why. I just didn't feel well by the time I finished the stream yesterday.
That is all apparently illegal, or at least a lot of them appear to be illegal.
How are you going, Lars?
With Whoop, gain insights into how you train, sleep, and
They're pulling over people indiscriminately, including U.S. citizens, and demanding to see their papers. And at grocery,
I don't know if I've seen that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen this a lot. Usually whenever I see them pulling somebody over, it's because the person's trying to put their car in the middle of the road.
Exactly. Like a certain person that just ended up dying. And actually now there's numerous more people doing the same thing.
And you see how, like, this is what people like Tim Walz do, is they just go on camera. And, like, if you take this at face value, you're going to assume that ICE is pretty bad, right? Oh, my
Oh,
God.
yeah, 100%. I think that
Imagine how bad it would be now if Camel Breath and he got into power instead of Trump. Imagine how bad the world would be at the moment.
they're the ones causing all the trouble. In reality, they're the ones trying to solve the problem that Tim Walz has allowed to fester. They've now gotten much worse. You can see how they're positioning themselves. I just showed you this clip earlier. Minneapolis pro-Somali police chief looks absolutely stunned as Mayor Jacob Frey straight up demands residents and cops to fight ICE agents in the streets. Absolutely insane. Matter of fact, one of his own police, who was from Somalia, was the first one to accidentally apparently kill someone. That was before the whole Renee Good thing happened. And a lot of people are not even aware of that. It's just kind of crazy. You have also Renee Good's former father-in-law tells CNN he does not blame ICE for her death.
When you look at the videos of what happened, and I'm sure they're very hard for you to watch if you've even been able to, but the Deputy Attorney General says that the Justice Department doesn't believe that there's evidence to back a criminal investigation, right? And nothing about charges or anything like that, just an investigation into what happened in terms of the ICE agents' actions. But they were, according to the prosecutors resigning today, pressuring them to investigate Renee's actions and Becca, her wife's actions. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody. I mean, it's a hard situation all the way around. It's hard for for everybody involved. I mean, the ICE agent, at first I didn't see the footage where, he was actually, he was actually being ran. I mean, I seen the bump of the car hitting his legs. And so, it
didn't just hit his legs, by the way. It hit his stomach, his torso. He has internal bleeding now.
Flash like that, it's hard to say how you would react. From my understanding that he had been through that before, maybe dragged.
Yep, he was dragged across several yards by another person that was trying to escape. Same exact type of thing.
Or something. And so
And he goes on to talk about the Bible and stuff, which is very interesting.
Bobo, here's a little troublemaker
he doesn't blame
here.
the Ice Age at all. Matter of fact,
Hello,
probably
Bobo.
the eternal bleeding. He probably
Look
thinks
how cute he
it's
is.
not at fault.
Hey, mate,
In the
I love
aspect
you
of being
here. Yes,
in
we
the wrong.
do.
Right? You have here what's going on in
Look how
Minneapolis.
lovely he is.
Check
He's
this
so
out.
So
cute.
you see all these
Wanna
images
sit up here with
because
me?
Minneapolis has had a generational crash out. This is what they're doing. It's all the way back to 2020. This is supposed
okay,
to
wanna
be the
go
richest
down?
country in the world, and we're letting these
Let's
people
stay
turn
there,
it
come on.
into a PvP server. They destroyed federal vehicles. They're stealing firearms, ammunitions, and sensitive documents inside, all captured on live stream. This
Yeah. They're even putting it out and publishing it.
is insane.
So this is public crime. This is many people involved. They're streaming it. They think it's okay because everybody's doing it, right? This doesn't make it legal. Obviously. Notice a lot of them. Well, a few of them look like they might be Somalis.
Andrew, the cat's out in the yard. We let him out during the day. It's at night time we lock him in.
Oh my God. So, Craig, it's not easy, is it not? They're really trying to get.
Oh my God, dude. See, you know what I mean? Like, look, you find fraud, and then this is what happens. This is what happens. This all started because of the fraud.
Wait, he's trying to master loot it? He's trying to master loot the whole box. Oh no.
It's still got a chain on it.
Oh, so if this doesn't get under control, Somali warlords, pirates.
I was right, dude. It's Somalis, man. Like, look, bro, this is so ridiculously predictable. This is things we've been saying that they tell us that we're crazy for saying. We say you don't import another culture. You have to assimilate if you come to America. If you espouse our values, you can be an American citizen. You don't come in here like a Somali pirate, rob us, and then when we try to take away all the illegal activity and stop you from doing it, you don't become a pirate and some sort of warlord. I mean, this is literally what the Somali warlords running free and roaming around in Minneapolis, apparently, because we caught them with their leering centers or their home medical and their freaking transportation service, fake whatever. This is what they're doing. Literally, some Somali warlords, man.
Fraudsters are going to bring Black Hawk down to.
What the heck's going on? Oh yeah, Black Hawk Down, the movie Black Hawk Down. Oh, dude, was Matt Damon in that movie? Black Hawk Down. That was so long ago.
Nah.
I can't remember who was in that.
Eric Barner was.
Because we have a clip of Matt Damon too. Let's see who was in this one. It was 2001. No wonder I can't remember. Okay, so here's some of the actors: Tom Hardy, Ewan McGregor. Okay, Ewan McGregor. That's who it was. I don't know why I was thinking Matt Damon. Ewan McGregor, the guy from Star Wars. By the way, we have. I keep seeing things connecting to Star Wars. We had apparently Tim Walt's son saying that it's getting crazy out there. You need to get a hobby, and then he shows us Lego Star Wars. But that's another thing. So you got all this stuff going on. You got Matt Damon here. Matt Damon saying, you don't like what's going on.
Like millions of people around the country were really concerned with what's going on, and I think it's about raising awareness about what's happening in our cities and on our streets, and it hopefully will promote a larger discussion about this.
He's talking about Renee Good. He's got the Renee Good pin on. I guess apparently that's the part that's most important, not the fact you have roaming warlords now in the city trying to apparently go after. Just ignore that part. That's just a reaction.
Give me a buzz.
What happened.
Come on, give me.
That's a completely normal reaction. Completely normal reaction. He now is on Joe Rogan today, apparently.
Room was locked down and no one was going to the movie theater. And then it just said, I had this like drama that was coming right when COVID hit. I like doing performance movies with an alcoholic guy whose kid dies.
It's hard to see, but there he is.
But I loved it. And I could tell, like, well, fuck, no one's going to go see it to theater, see this movie. And it wasn't even that streaming really blew up. And of course, during COVID, phenomenal. What is it on?
So apparently Affleck and Damon are on together today on the Joe Rogan Experience, talking about all the stuff. Actually, I'm wondering if they get into this. I haven't watched it yet. I just watched maybe like 10 minutes of it. I'm wondering if they get into this whole thing with Renee Good. I'm sure they will. But you see kind of the insanity going on around us. We had also, I thought this is an interesting clip. This is from the Whatever podcast. Women
Mum's
that
coming
they had
home
on
today.
were saying
Yeah,
that men
Mum's
are
coming
not
home
needed
today.
at all. Check this out.
I want to answer. I do want an answer, at least to the original question. Do you think we need men?
No.
Still, okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel the same. Like
Just short answers if you can.
Okay, then let's just go with no for. Yes, for the larger. I don't know. I really don't. I feel
Okay.
confused about this.
I think every person should be valued equally, so yes.
I don't think we need men, but I want them around for I want it.
Like, what is going on here? It's so hilarious. I mean, all this building that they're sitting in, the microphones they're using. She goes on to talk about how I like driving a car. Obviously, I could make a car if I needed a car. I'm like, really? So it's just kind of funny. They don't understand that the infrastructure all around them is created by men. Mostly men. I wouldn't say it's all men, of course, but I think if you would have a lot less stuff around you. Let's just
the cat's not here. That's the dog barking.
Put it that way. A lot less. And things would be very, very bad in that respect. I think they would have a lot more respect if they could live a year without men, maybe, and see what it was really like. We had also this weird light scene in Birmingham, UK. As you can see here.
Wow. The whole sky is glowing pink. Never seen it.
So the whole sky turned pink, and I did a video talking about this. What was weird about it, though, some people in the comment section were saying that they don't think snow could do this. Because you know where it came from, allegedly, the light? At least this is what they're claiming it came from, was this here. It's a stadium, sports stadium there in Birmingham. But how did it cause the...
Oh, that's better. Hello, buddy. Busby. Look at him. Look how cute he is. Look, he's giving me kisses. Look at him. Where is he? There he is. Chewing away at my hand. Look at him. He's a fluffy ball. He's so cute. Okay, what's going on with this? What's going on like this? Oh, it's still not straight.
The entire sky to turn purple at certain times. It's like weird. It does it sometimes, and other times it doesn't do this. It seemed like it did it when it was snowing, but I saw someone in the comment section saying it was happening even without it snowing. So it's really bizarre. You got lots of clips like this showing this effect. Gotta stop the music. I don't know if there's a copyright. You can see the idea. Okay. I got pictures. You see what I mean? It's kind of weird. I don't know what to make of it, but maybe it's when they have clouds. It could be clouds and snow, or snow or clouds.
Come here, mate. Come here. I'll put you down. Come here.
I don't know.
Come here, buddy.
That's so bizarre. It encompasses the entire sky at some times when this happens. At any rate,
yeah.
I got more to cover over on my other video. We're going to get into some stuff rather interesting about Greenland.
Mum's on her way home, so you'll be right.
What's going on there? Some rather surprising stuff, actually.
Okta secures AI, so you'll feel good turning at least to do its job, knowing the right controls are in place.
The mighty Red Hot Saboteurs back and rocking in 2026 with another superstar lineup headlined by the legendary Paul Kelly. Special guests Missy Higgins, The Cruel Scene, The Cat Empire, Casey Chambers, and Jess Hitchcock. The Red Hot Summer Tour. Before too long. Touring nationally in 2026. Get your tickets now from Ticketmaster.
I can't do it with.
Please, Don, are you meeting with senior officials? Are you meeting?
All right, let's see.
We're talking about Greenland. We're talking about what's going on with that whole thing. I was curious about that, right? We have some interesting stuff, updates on this, and we have some interesting movies that talked about some of this as well that may even give us a little bit more idea what's going on here. Is there something big, my friends? I'm starting to think so. I'm starting to think something big is about ready to happen. We're going to get into that in this video. Got a ton of other stuff as well. We're going to get into what The View had to say about this. We're going to get into what Europe is now doing, and a ton of other stuff as well. We got some actors as well, like Ben Affleck. Let's just get going here. Let's start with this clip here. This is kind of funny. Check this out.
What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Huh? Me?
Yeah, he's doing nothing, all right. That guy actually looks a little bit like our president. It's pretty funny, actually. We have European nations send additional troops to Greenland.
Yeah.
As annexation threats escalate. And
yeah, I had a parrot I named Busby, so it's my original, but it's the second time I've used it. The parrot was just a bugger of a bird. I gave it to my cousin.
So this is interesting because...
But when Gabe says, have you got a name for the dog? I said, yeah, Busby. She goes, gee, I really like that. So that's how she got named Busby. Gabe named her. You ask her.
He never said... He kind of gave the pretense of money, but said he wanted it no matter what. They're obviously taking this as a threat. Several European countries are deploying small numbers of military personnel to Greenland to participate in joint exercises with Denmark. So this is interesting. Denmark, which is responsible for Greenland's defense, has warned an attack on Greenland would end NATO. An announcement on Wednesday. Well, I was figuring he's not going to do this. The way our president works, he'll say one thing and he'll go the opposite direction. And then he'll also do jigsaw, like he'll say, "Oh, this, we're going to go in," and then next day he'll be like, "No, we're not going to." And he does this as a negotiation technique to lower down the expectations of the other side, to make it so doesn't have to give us much money, or whatever angle he's trying to do. In this case, we did figure it out. I knew he wasn't going to go in militarily. I knew he wasn't, because if he was going to do it, he'd just do it, just like he did with Venezuela. He wouldn't just, hey, I want this place, I might take it, like totally telegraphing it for many days.
Like Biden used to.
It seems like a really ridiculous way to do it. If he was going to do it militarily, he would have did it already. That's not what he's going to do. Instead, it looks like it's going to be tariffs. Tariffs, just like he's doing with Canada. He's playing the whole tariff game. I'm going to raise tariffs super high on Denmark and other countries in Europe as a punishment if you don't give me Greenland. This is what he's doing. And obviously, there is some relevance to Greenland and Venezuela. There was a clip on Jack Ryan. Obviously, these TV shows about like geopolitical stuff and like the government dealing with stuff with the powers that be in the world. Jack Ryan, you got other shows like this one I'm going to show you in a second here. In the Jack Ryan, he's teaching a class, and he says, what is the most important country that America needs to be concerned about? And everyone's like, oh, Russia, China, North Korea. And he said, how about Venezuela? It's like 10 years ago, the TV show. Venezuela, because they have the most oil, they got these drug cartels, they have a dictator. Now we have Greenland. Hollywood also telling you why America wants to take over Greenland. And you know what? Honestly, I would play this clip. Unfortunately, the last time I played a clip, the one I played the Sean Ryan clip, or not Sean Ryan, Jack Ryan clip. Sean Ryan's a guy on YouTube. The Jack Ryan clip, I played that like on another video, and I got a copyright on it, which is ridiculous and annoying. So I'm not going to play the clip, but basically you can see right here.
Good. I was just about to stop the clip.
She's showing on a map why America needs Greenland in a movie, obviously. And you had here Charlie Kirk apparently back last year, about a year ago, visiting Greenland. And let's see what he had to say here.
Today here in Greenland, Sergio, here at Trump Force One. Don is over here. Friendliest people, they love America, and we'll see what happens. Make Greenland great again. And the sun is setting. It's only 2:30 in the afternoon. The sun is setting. It's just one of those things.
So, of course, obviously, you can see now looking back, our president was already thinking about Greenland. The fact that they were visiting there, meeting the people, sort of getting a good repertoire between our government and their people.
Diane posted the link where it showed they had Venezuela in their sights 50 years ago. Do you remember that list, Di?
Before what we've heard now of recent, where our president wants the country itself, obviously he was talking about it way back when too a little bit, wasn't he? I think he did talk about it back then. Was it before that clip though? I'm not sure. That was in January. It might have been around the same time, or maybe it was a little bit before. I'm not sure. Because I remember talking about it last year, but I don't remember it being January. Was it January or was it February? I can't remember. Or maybe March. At any rate, so you get the idea. So then you have this clip here, a guy talking about this movie Greenland. Why is it our president wants Greenland when the movie Greenland's coming out? Let's hear what he has to say.
Say it once and I'll say it again. It's always in the movies. Now, there's been a ton of talk lately from the White House about Trump purchasing Greenland and making it the 51st state of America. Now, reason being, he said it's for national security because of growing tensions from foreign entities. But let's not forget that Greenland has 25 of the 34 minerals that are deemed critical raw materials, which include copper, diamond, gold, graphite.
Vas, is it your denomination that won't let children be used with medicine? You can't use medicine on children. Is that your religion?
Iron ore, nickel, just to name a few. But here's where it gets weird. Can anybody tell me why there is a movie coming out on January 9th called Greenland? If you guys notice on the movie posters, it has these 4 cities: Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and Chicago. Now, what is this movie about? So this was a sequel to part 1 that came out in 2020, and it reads, in the aftermath of a comet that decimates most of the planet, the Garrity family must leave the safety of their Greenland bunker to traverse a shattered world in search of a new home. So we're talking about bunkers and national security. This is all starting to make sense.
Yeah, my apologies, Vas. I get your mob and their mob mixed up. I don't know why, but I do.
But it gets even weirder, you guys. So it's not just the movies, it's the video games as well. So this game called Call of Duty Ghosts comes out in 2013, right? Now, what is this game about? So this game takes place in 2026, where a special unit called Ghosts goes to Caracas, Venezuela to capture a dictator. Now, this game came out in November of 2013.
Exactly when Maduro got in.
Which is the
So it's a PlayStation 3 or a 4.
same year that Maduro took power. Now, if that's not weird enough for you, right before Maduro gets caught on January 3rd, the co-founder of Call of Duty dies in a car crash.
Yeah, I didn't even put that together. I didn't put that.
Wow.
That's interesting. Yeah, I even talked about him dying. He's the co-founder of Call of Duty. I was thinking just about the fact that he made sort of the framework for Titanfall. A lot of these games, actually. Apex Legends. Also Call of Duty
crashed December 21st. Well, wait, hold up. So you need.
But the thing was, though, he died in a car wreck, and like it was under his own power and his own control. He was going way too fast, coming out of a tunnel, and he couldn't turn fast.
They got the ability to take over the controls in a car now. They got the ability to do that, override the driver. They reckon that's what happened to that actor from that car stealing. What was it called? Anyway, he got killed in a car crash because he was going too fast. The one with Vin Diesel in it, they were nicking cars or something. The Fast and Furious, yeah. The guy who was the original star of that, they done that to him, I reckon. Oh, now the Wi-Fi's gone down. That's good timing. Connected. Right, back to normal.
Because Ollie is a picky eater, Woolies picked her fruit with a fresh or free guarantee.
Everyone has a reason to become a blood donor. Because 1 in 3 of us will need blood in our lifetime. So one day, your life might be the reason.
Fast enough, and he hit a barrier.
You gonna tell me the
I got Call of Duty World War II, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and also there's a really big space one. I forget the third one.
co-founder of Call of Duty dies. Then 13 days later, Maduro gets caught, in which the game is about him getting caught, and the game comes out on a 13th.
You know what's so weird about that? It reminds me of the Ernest Hemingway. I talked about Ernest Hemingway recently as well. He also died in a very similar manner to one of his books that he wrote. And he was also going around saying that the GOV was following him around and harassing him. So weird. That's so weird.
Year, he takes power on the 13th year, and the founder becomes literally a ghost. What? Simulation complete.
This is just like Charlie Kirk and his death, and he had a lot of weird things going on with that
Andrew, about 5 years ago, Ray Liotta.
as well. Obviously, I already got into all that before, like 3 months ago, talking about that, all the weird things surrounding that. There's a movie, Snake Eyes, all that whole thing. There was even more than that, actually. Actually, there's new stuff already coming out about that, too. I don't even want to get into that, but there is some new stuff on that. His wife, apparently, being in some sort of video about surviving. Actually, I should bring it up because it fits in with this whole thing. It's just so weird. I didn't even think about it until just now. So, Erica Kirk.
Hey, guys, you know what's died in the bun? The cloning centers with Donald Marshall. That's the last you really heard about all them, so that must have been a phony story.
She was in some sort of video that had to do with a situation like this movie Greenland would talk about. This is weird, dude. Okay. So she was in, let me see if I can find this. Everyone's talking about it right now, by the way. So I guess it does fit in. Okay, where is this at? Let me see. Was it a documentary or film or something? She was in some sort of film. Yeah, here we are. Right. Appeared in a 2015 documentary alongside James Woolsey to promote her family's Electro-EM electromagnetic pulse business. She had a family. Her family's into EMP. Really? Business. Okay, I didn't even know. I mean, I read about it recently, but I didn't know about the fact that her family was part of this. I thought it was just her getting contracted for the video. I didn't know her family sold this. That's so weird. Yeah. So, where was it? Yeah, here it is. Is it this one right here? Yeah, here it is. So she was in some sort of video promoting her family's business, working with GOV officials about like a bad situation where the power goes out, EMP, right? And this is kind of sort of the Greenland sort of related, I guess, in the aspect that it's some sort of catastrophe. And Cash did about a month ago go on.
Yeah, Vast, but we haven't had any really good whistleblowers since the old Marshall on cloning, have we?
John Ryan's show talking about blackouts. And we saw, and I've been talking about that over the years. We had what happened 2 years ago in Washington State with 3 power substations.
And you know how Simpsons show the future sometimes in their cartoons? I watched one where they went to Springfield Hospital and the building next door was called the Soul Scalping Building. So there was a hospital next door, and then there was a soul removal hospital next door. Yeah, wow, really crazy stuff.
Being hacked, the power went out, and that was when these
soul scalping. I wonder what they do with the soul.
China was doing, of course, exercises in Canada right across the border, 30 to 40 miles away. You have what happened in Europe with their power outages. Could this be something related? And it's kind of weird. All this all seems to connect, sort of. Oh, that is weird. I didn't even think. I mean, I didn't even realize this or think about this fully when I started until just now. This actually relates, kind of. This is so weird. And okay, so there's that. Then we got this. This is kind of interesting as well. There was a time when the U.S. military knew exactly.
Ray Liotta, he played a really good bad cop. And just at the end of the season, I think he died. But he was involved in a really good series about coppers.
Who the real
crooked coppers, of course.
Enemy was. And she says it's Britain about 100 years ago. From Greenland to housing cartels to dismantling 80 years of imperial control over American policy. This is interesting. Let's check this out.
There was a time about 100 years ago when the United States military knew exactly who the real enemy was. And it wasn't Russia and it wasn't China. It was Britain. In the 1920s, the U.S. military developed something called War Plan Red, a detailed contingency plan for war with the British Empire, with Canada as Britain's proxy. And right now, Donald Trump is dusting off a modern version of that same plan. Now, if you're watching the mainstream media, they're telling you Trump is recklessly threatening our alliances with his demands about Greenland. And Britain's premier foreign policy outlet, Chatham House, is now saying this about the United States.
European countries are not helping U.S. intentions towards. So it is interesting. We have seen ever since Trump's got in, Europe has positioned itself against our country. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not. It seems like they're very much diametrically opposed to us on many issues of recent. They're essentially, I mean, if she got in instead of our president, if Kamala got in, maybe they would have been aligned with her.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder who is behind all of this, obviously, those that pull the strings, right? So, yeah, I think there is a legitimate point here. I mean, look at it's just kind of weird thinking about it. Like, you got Rome, right? Rome used to be the superpower. Now it's essentially just Vatican, but he has some power. It's like a weird sort of power, but he has a power, right? And then you got Britain. Britain used to be a very large superpower. Now it doesn't appear to be powerful at all, but maybe there's still some weird stuff going on in the background we don't understand. and that their power has moved to something more hidden, right? Even the same with Rome. It's no longer a physical power you can see and it's like obvious.
America burned Britain in World War II at the beginning of the war. Churchill was nagging him to get warships off him. So, who was Roosevelt? He was the president. Roosevelt organised him to get 100 ships, and they were all obsolete ships, and only one was battle ready. So he blatantly ripped them off. He made them pay gold from South Africa as well, from their South African mines. So the Americans done a lot to bankrupt England. Just saying.
It's something sort of more hidden in the background, right? So maybe Rome, maybe England, maybe this is part of it as well. I mean, obviously Europe is going the wrong direction. It's very obvious. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that. It clearly doesn't seem to be for the people there.
Oh.
At any rate.
Bobo, I saw something about that Blair and Trump, and I didn't look into it. Is that what's going on? Wow.
So we're going to get to even more. I wanted to mention about this opportunity, Noah VR, the game we're building, $400 to get a seat on the shareholders, where each one of you will be sharing 33% of Noah VR profits when we sell the game. We have potentially an angel investor coming on board. We actually have two of them that look like they might be coming on board. We're talking big companies, sort of, that are interested in investing in our game. Actually, they are big. At least one of them was a really big company. But so we got some stuff going on. We got this game. It's getting quite far along. I mean, again, we want this to be a hit. We don't want to just release it hodgepodge. We want this thing to be really smoking when we get it done. We have a very, very interesting marketing strategy for it. At any rate, if you're interested, go check it out. Link is in the description. Also, this book here, The Lost Ways, How Your Great Grandfather Lived Without Electricity. You might need that book if something weird happens. Get the print version, $37, How to Live Without Electricity. All right. And all the others linked below, social media, all that kind of stuff. So we have here, our president considers tariffs on countries blocking Greenland acquisition, stating he may impose tariffs on any country opposing U.S. efforts to acquire Greenland. And I mean, this probably will be the way to work. I figured he had some trick up his sleeve. I knew it wasn't going to be militarily. It was like really obvious to me it wasn't militarily. Because if he was going to do that, it would have already been done. We wouldn't even have known about it until it was done. Kind of like what happened with Venezuela, right? So this is clearly not going to be militarily. This is going to be an acquisition based on economic pressure. The territory's strategic Arctic location. Now, some people have come out saying, it's the bad guys. The elite want it. Of course, they had this one guy, a Rotherforth child, that said he congratulated our president on what he had done with Venezuela. But in reality, I find this all, I think I figured the whole thing out, okay? So what is America doing? It's trying to secure everything around it. Venezuela, Greenland, et cetera, Canada, right? Then you got Russia. What are they trying to do? Same exact thing. That's what the whole Ukraine thing's about. Who's the only set of countries that is against both of those things? Who's the only set of countries against both of those things? It would be Europe. Let me show you this. Let me pull this back and play this. This is from Neil McCoy Ward. Check this out.
Because Macron just convened an emergency meeting overnight on Greenland, and he has gone on the absolute warpath against the United States. And when I say he's gone on the warpath, he's made numerous threats against the US.
The French are about as scary as a sausage.
Singled out Trump in particular.
How do you know if the French are at war? There's Germans drinking champagne on the left bank.
But it's mainly against the US.
Okay, so here we have, I had my audio off for a second there. Macron convenes a emergency meeting to discuss Greenland, right? So this is kind of interesting because We also have England. Veterans age 65 told to prepare for war. Wherefore? Ukraine. Starmer warned Ukraine will need more than 50,000 troops on the ground.
Last, I tried to join the French Foreign Legion when I got out the Australian Army, but ended up going to jail before I got a chance to do it properly.
So let me explain this to you. So we got America trying to secure its area, Greenland, Venezuela, et cetera, et cetera. You got Russia trying to secure its area, Ukraine, because they want an interstitial country between them and NATO. But who's the only set of countries that don't want either one of those things to happen? Oh, Europe, France, England. They don't want America to have any security or stronger security. They don't want Russia to have stronger security because they're trying to fight in Ukraine. They're trying to stop us from doing Greenland. So what does that tell you? They also are no longer secure. So the only set of countries that are not secure, that don't want anyone else to be secure, is Europe. Europe itself is not secure. There's lots of people coming in from all manner of places.
Talia, I think I'm the oldest one here. I'm 62, nearly 63.
Right? They don't want Russia to be secure, or China to be secure. They don't want America to be secure. Why is it they don't want anybody to be secure, including themselves? Because they're not the ones exactly running it. Rather, it's being co-opted by obviously someone from the background who is a globalist. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So right now, all of this is coming and stemming out of Europe.
I'm surprised you didn't say 69, Bobo, to be honest.
Although it's internally in America, currently it's being defeated. It's been defeated because we have a current president that's against that sort of policy. If Kamala got in, then she would have been aligned with Europe. See what I'm getting at now? So they work within these countries to weaken them, and that's how they work for their power. So it's a weird reversal thing. They're against this idea of separate countries with their own strong powers, and they go in like a parasite and destroy it and make it weak from the inside. And this is why you see it functioning the way it is. At any rate, you can see that they're going to be trying to do more of that this year. We have the unknown prophet talking about it here in his video, and I go through it, talk about how it says here, 4 volcanic eruptions. It represents 4 major countries advancing a destructive agenda, which 3 being closer aligned, 1 more distant, and God will solve this. And it goes on and talks about a lot of stuff like that. America also will have being attacked from within. It talks about here as well, which is what I'm talking about right now. Henry, I'm kind of wondering what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.
That was a quick finish.
Life is full of noise. Tune out the noise.
We're going to go right to the dream, and I saw a white arrow, like a white rope arrow, but he didn't move, so I couldn't tell whether it was a person or whether it was an idol that was there. Trump was giving me an exclusive interview. We were walking to his private room, and as we walked, he said, at the end of the year, he will no longer be president. He seemed content about it. He said, if something were to happen to him, I was to decide who would come after him. And he gave me a black baton with a golden dome on top. He said that by this, the people would know that it's his. And this would be his last interview. He seemed calm, almost happy that the baton was going to be passed on.
I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached.
I predict that by the end of 2026, we will no longer see Trump as he is, and maybe even impeached or removed completely. That is what they're trying to do. And I know there's a lot of guesses about how he's going to not be in power, but I really feel terrible that he has a limited time to be an agent of justice.
you got to win the midterms. Because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things. They are mean and smart. But fortunately for you, they have horrible policy. They have horrendous policy. What they do is they stick together. They never have a no vote. They impeached me. I never knew I was going to be impeached. I get a phone call, you just got impeached. I said, what does that mean? It took them 10 minutes. They impeached the president, who did a damn good job. I rebuilt our military, Space Force, I got everything. I did a lot. They impeached me for nothing, twice, for nothing. Fortunately, you were on our side and we were unanimous. And the second time, the few people in this little group, like Rice and this, they're all gone. And I think I gave you something, it's just a roadmap. And it's a roadmap to victory. You have so many good nuggets, you have to use them. If you can sell them, we're going to win. Because we've won 2 races in like 50 years. It's, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but just don't fight it. It doesn't make sense. There've been 2, and they were unusual circumstances. So whether it's a Republican or Democrat, whoever wins the presidency, the other party wins the midterm, and it doesn't make sense. Other party wins the midterm, and it doesn't make sense.
We walked through a blockish building, and foremost in my mind was the final interview. What would I ask him? I couldn't waste his time. It had to be a good interview for the whole world to know that he was going to pass the baton. I started forming my questions, a series of questions. I only remember the last. They were good questions. The last question was, will there be another Trump? And at least 3 people could be heard chatting inside of one of the adjacent rooms. The door opened, and from the inside came out at least 3 people, my mother and 2 Thai guests who appeared to be Christian leaders. I was very low, like low key or lowered down or laid low. The president introduced me. My mother didn't look surprised to see me there. The other 2 Thais were on the way somewhere. We spoke in Thai to each other, wishing each other well, loudly enough that the president would have known that I was bilingual and knew English and Thai fluently. This was where I woke up without getting to the interview. And I literally said, let the dream continue. And God said, if you write it, it will continue. I asked, how will a dream continue if I wake up? He said, if you write it, it will continue. As in, why can't a dream continue in waking state? Like in an open vision. So I said, okay. At that same time, my littlest girl, Alaska, woke up and wanted Mama to take her to the bathroom. So when she came back to bed, I got up. I got up and I went to my closet to type. And then I remembered things. It was really true. I start remembering things. Some of them in the dream, some of them just came to me as I'm typing. I remember there was a European Council meeting, and they were plotting to undermine Trump and what to do with him. The word of interpretation I got was that Trump was content to pass on the baton. And in my dream, it was very clear he was abdicating the presidency, like he had done enough, or maybe he had taken enough threats. He had cut a deal. He had made a deal. He started his celebrity career with the art of the deal, and he will exit with a deal. I also thought that the black baton matched the black horse. He will exit during the black horse, right? And this is where you have to learn about the timeline I've taught. No, I don't think we're in the tribulation, so you have a lot to catch up on if you think that. But I think that he will exit during the black horse, which would be the end of 2026, or his exit will cause the black horse. That would be the start of 2027. The key mandate for me in this dream is that if I write it, it will continue. So I take that very personally, that I have to do some things to hurry up and write books. And there are publishers that One said that they were going to take it, then they backtracked and they didn't take it. And so I think, that's something they have to pray about. But it's something that God has said for me to do. My part, I will write the book. Which publisher takes it? It's going to be up to them, or we can publish. We've done very successfully publishing ourselves. We're walking on holy things. These prophetic things, sometimes people get a bit glib and smug and they criticize about dreams and visions. And I think, no, I wouldn't do that. We are walking on holy ground. Acts chapter 2, verse 15. This is Peter's first sermon. For these are not drunk as you suppose, since it is only the third hour of the day, but this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, says God, right? These are the last days, that I will pour out of my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your young men shall see visions. Your old men shall dream dreams. I guess that puts me in the category of older men, because it's not a vision, it was a dream. Probably the most disconcerting part of this vision is for the president, that he doesn't finish his unfinished business. And quite literally, Alaska interrupted the dream. Alaska interrupted the interview. And that I'm referring to my daughter. My daughter's name is Alaska. Alaska was the interruption. And so could it be that this is going to link straight back to something that he said, did, or agreed to in Alaska with Vladimir Putin? That's where you met him just recently. And I thought lastly, it was a very nice detail that I hadn't been thinking about, that Thailand is a part of preparation for the Black Horse. Obviously, Thailand, a very unevangelized country, 99% unsaved. There are not many countries in the world that you can say is 99% unevangelized, unsaved. But that was kind of a happy part of that we would somehow prepare for that.
What happened there? It stopped already. Yeah, it did. Hang on, what was under that?
Oh yeah, it has definitely changed, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well.
Too long. Okay. Oh, hang on, it didn't load. Hang on, guys. Okay. Oh, come on. Hang on, guys. Oh, I've played that one video. Okay, this isn't what I wanted to show, so give me a sec to look something up.
Earthquakes seem to be coming lately.
3 of them in all back to back within half an hour. Series of earthquakes in the North Bay, the largest being a 4.
The second one definitely felt it, heard it, saw it. It felt kind of like how it might feel like a big train was going by right outside.
The one in Alaska and the one in Japan was not caused by these solar storms. It was actually caused by solar wind.
I'll finish off with this one, guys. We already watched half of it.
Area in Southern California, delivering nearly a month's worth
It's still got half an hour to go, so I'm not going just yet.
of rain in just 48 to 72 hours. Levees strained under pressure, hillsides collapsed, drainage systems failed, and residents were forced to evacuate as water rose faster than emergency crews could respond. But the disruption did not stop there. As rain overwhelmed California, flash flooding erupted across Utah, Nevada, and Arizona regions never mapped as flood zones. Desert ground, hardened by years of drought, could not absorb the sudden deluge. Water rushed through neighborhoods unprepared for flooding, cutting off roads and trapping residents with little warning. Communities built on assumptions of stability found those assumptions collapsing overnight. At the same time, entirely different extremes unfolded across nearby regions. Heavy snow and ice paralyzed.
Yeah, Bobo, the thought of you being Santa Claus dropping off to your neighbours is about as real as I have a big gun.
Colorado, Wyoming, and the northern Rockies. Major highways became impassable. Dense fog settled over the Midwest, grounding flights and reducing visibility to near zero. Meanwhile, the Southeast was battered by intense rain and storms, all within the same narrow weather window. Transportation systems began to fail in sequence. Major airports in Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, and Atlanta shut down or delayed operations. Highways across California, Colorado, the Northeast, and surrounding states closed as conditions shifted faster than crews could adapt. National travel arteries froze, leaving travelers stranded, and emergency services.
Diane, he rode a reindeer to the doors he knocked on because he sat on the reindeer. You couldn't see it was really Bobo. You'd think it was Ivor.
Stretched thin. What alarmed meteorologists was not just the severity of these events, but their behavior. Weather systems stalled instead of moving. Rain continued to fall on already saturated ground. Snow piled up without thought.
To set up a joke, Bobo, like you did with me yesterday. That's why you can lie.
Ice lingered long past its expected window. What should have been brief disruptions stretched into prolonged emergencies lasting days, then weeks. Scripture speaks directly to moments like this. In Luke 21:11, Jesus warned of fearful signs from heaven, not as isolated events.
Okay, Phil, good night, mate. God bless.
Unfolding across creation. The warning was not about spectacle, but about alignment when heaven, earth, and human systems begin to shift together. So, are these random weather events or signs of a system slipping out of alignment? If this pattern matters to you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to continue following the signs as they unfold across the nation. Far from the images of submerged streets and emergency rescues, the Lake Powell Basin is drying out. Here, the disaster does not rush, it withdraws. Lake Powell, once engineered to never run dry, is now just 26 feet from Deadpool, the point where Glen Canyon Dam can no longer generate power. This is no longer a distant scenario discussed in reports or forecasts. It is a measured countdown, tracked in feet, days, and consequences. For decades, Lake Powell was designed.
See, look at this, guys. This is going on all around the world. We just had really bad fires down south. Now the fires have stopped, and we're getting super flash floods like you got at New York. It's really bad. The weather around the world has gone crazy. It snowed at Saudi Arabia in the desert.
As permanence itself. It absorbed dry years, recovered after droughts, and protected the Southwest from instability. Cities expanded into desert landscapes because the reservoir promised reliability. Farms flourished. Power grids depended on water moving through turbines deep inside the dam. That recovery has stopped. Instead of rebounding, the reservoir continues to fall year after year. Even when snowpack improves, water levels do not return. The decline is no longer temporary or cyclical. It is structural. The system is losing water faster than it can be replaced.
Wow.
As the water recedes, the land begins to reveal what it concealed for generations. Ancient riverbeds reappear, etched deep into stone by flows that once moved freely. Rock formations rise where boats once traveled. Along the edges, remnants of old structures, foundations, and forgotten pathways slowly come into view. These are silent traces of earlier eras.
Wow, look at that. That's got to be the Euphrates, doesn't it?
Reminders of landscapes that once looked very different. The past is returning, not by choice, but because the water that buried it has disappeared.
Yeah.
Every major system downstream depends on this reservoir. As water levels drop, hydropower output weakens. Turbines lose efficiency long before they shut down entirely. Utilities prepare for shortages and higher costs. All of it now rests on a source reaching its physical limits. Beyond measurements and projections, a deeper unease settles in. Water has long symbolized life, continuity, and renewal. When rivers dry and reservoirs empty, It feels as though something fundamental is being withdrawn. Scripture speaks with unsettling clarity and
No, I invite people who have nowhere to go for Christmas. I invite them to our place for lunch. They never take you up on the offer, though. I think they think they're intruding, but I'm not just asking strangers. I'm asking people I know who are on their own. Like there's this old lady. I don't know her that well. She was one of Mum's friends, and she talked to me on Facebook, and she had nowhere for Christmas. So I offered her my Christmas, but she just didn't take it up.
this moment. I will make the rivers dry, declares Isaiah 42-15. In the Bible, drying waters often mark a turning point when human confidence gives way to exposure and reckoning. As floods overwhelmed one part of the nation, the lifeline of another is quietly withdrawing. If the water that made the Southwest possible is failing, what other foundations are closer to collapse than we realize? Stay with me as we continue uncovering the signs and hidden patterns unfolding across the nation. Reports from Louisiana, Alabama, and Arkansas describe a brief but deeply unsettling event. Rain fell from otherwise ordinary skies, yet its color was not clear. In footage captured by locals, every droplet falls with the viscosity and hue of vintage wine, staining the asphalt with scarlet trails that slowly darken. Residents describe
I never saw that. That's in America. Wow.
the rain as thicker and heavier than normal. When it hit the ground, it left streaks and residue resembling diluted blood across asphalt and concrete. Videos spread quickly online, not because of damage, but because of how unnatural it looked. Rain is expected to cleanse, to refresh. This did the opposite. It unsettled. Local laboratories and environmental agencies collected samples immediately. When regional laboratories scrutinized the fluid, they detected no Saharan particulate, the usual suspect for such ruddy downpours elsewhere. They also isolated no red algae, no biological spores, nor any industrial contaminants. Within minutes, the rain stopped as abruptly as it began, leaving behind confusion rather than destruction. To the skepticism of the masses, it was mere coincidence. But to those tracking the spiritual tremors radiating across the states, these dual phenomena possess a resonance that transcends meteorology. In Scripture, moments like this are never framed as accidents. The book of Joel speaks directly to such signs. Joel 2:30 declares, I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The verse does not describe chaos for its own sake, but signals warnings meant to be noticed before greater events unfold. Throughout the Bible, blood is a symbol of life, judgment, and reckoning. When it appears where blessing is expected, it carries weight. Rain, a symbol of renewal, appearing as blood forces attention. It challenges assumptions. It disrupts comfort. At the same time, floods overwhelm some regions.
Mate, it upends the known science that we got blood on the streets.
And drought.
India had this rain about 5 or 6 years ago. It's the first instance I've heard of it. And when they looked at it under microscopes, it was plasma. It had no DNA though, which is not possible, but it was plasma.
Drains others.
This doesn't look like plasma. This looks like he said, red clay.
The appearance of crimson rain adds another layer to a growing pattern, water behaving in ways it should not. When both heaven and earth begin to communicate through symbols rather than stability, Scripture urges discernment, not dismissal. So the question lingers. If rain, the sign of renewal, falls like blood and then disappears, is it coincidence or a warning meant to be seen before the next sign escalates? Stay with me as we continue uncovering what is being revealed next, because these signs are not finished speaking. As the nation reels from storms in the sky and drought on the land, another signal has emerged from the sea. Along California's Bay Area, seawater surged inland as record king tides collided with a powerful atmospheric river, flooding roads, neighborhoods, and businesses in a matter of hours. This was not a sudden crash of waves, but a slow, relentless advance, water rising and then refusing to withdraw. At the San Francisco tide gauge, levels climbed to 7.2 feet, nearly a full foot above normal winter highs. These readings are rarely seen outside extreme astronomical alignments. In Marin County, low-lying communities like Larkspur and Court Madera.
Sort of about that fog that fell twice. It fell in a couple of cities in the States, and it had some chemical in it, and it could actually catch on fire. That didn't get much news, did it?
Were partially submerged. Streets became impassable. Highway 101 slowed to a crawl. Along Highway 37, standing water stranded vehicles and disrupted one of the region's main transportation corridors.
Wow.
At the Marin RV Park, residents scrambled as water climbed 4 feet up driveways in less than 15 minutes. Public works crews rushed to place barricades and redirect traffic, while the National Weather Service repeated a stark warning: turn around, do not drown. Businesses were not spared. Fitness centers closed. Shops took on water. What began as a high tide quickly crossed into a prolonged emergency.
What about the idiots who drive out in a storm and they come across a bridge that's a bit underwater, so they try and drive across, and they always get washed out in the creek, and they all drown in that. I wouldn't take on a rolling river. I just would not take it on.
This was not a tsunami. Scientists point to a stacking of forces: a full moon at perigee, astronomical king tides, strong onshore winds, low atmospheric pressure, and a winter storm system classified as an atmospheric river. Together, they pushed seawater inland and held it there. Instead of rising and falling with the tide, the water lingered. Between cycles, it stayed high, as if the sea itself had lost its boundaries. Scripture describes moments like this with unsettling clarity. In Genesis 7:11, it says,
So they even have a name for it, Vas. I was correct, though, wasn't I, about India?
The fountains of the great deep burst forth. In Luke 21:25, Jesus warns of distress among nations, the sea and the waves roaring. These passages do not speak of chaos alone, but of restraint being lifted. So when the sea advances, holds its ground, and refuses to withdraw, the question becomes unavoidable. Is this simply climate pressure, or is creation signaling that its boundaries are being tested? Stay with me as we follow what is unfolding next. These signs are still in motion. After weeks of relentless rain along California's coast, the danger has shifted from the sky to the ground itself. What began as excessive rainfall and water saturation is now transforming into widespread landslides and ground failure. Along California's Pacific Coast Highway, the threat is no longer storms or flooding alone. It is the land beneath the road slowly giving way. Stretching along cliffs above the Pacific, the highway has long been a symbol of connection and permanence. It links coastal towns to schools, hospitals, supply routes, and emergency services. Yet today, in multiple sections, the ground supporting this road is no longer stable. It is sliding, inch by inch, toward the ocean. Geologists describe this movement as a slow earth flow. Unlike sudden collapses, this type of motion happens quietly. The pavement can look intact, traffic can continue, but beneath the surface, saturated soil weakened by repeated storms is shifting continuously. Once this process begins, it cannot be stopped, only delayed. Recent landslides have already forced repeated closures. Major slides in Big Sur, Last Chance Grade, and surrounding.
Wow, what a beautiful bed of roses or whatever they are. That's beautiful. I think they're poppies.
Areas have
That's absolutely beautiful, that was. Take it back a bit.
It cannot be stopped, only delayed. Recent landslides have already forced repeated closures. Major slides in Big Sur.
Check out how nice that looks. That'd smell really nice too.
Last Chance Grade and surrounding areas have shut down long stretches of the highway for weeks or months at a time. Traffic backs up for miles, detours stretch journeys into hours, school buses are rerouted, classes are canceled, emergency vehicles face dangerous delays. In some communities, medical supplies have had to be carried by hand across unstable ground when roads were split apart. Engineers continue to reinforce retaining walls, rebuild damaged sections, and patch cracks. Yet sensors confirm the same reality. The ground beneath continues to move. Repairs slow the damage, but they do not restore stability. What once symbolized reliability now operates on borrowed time. This pattern follows a clear sequence. Rainfall overwhelmed the land. Water accumulated in hillsides and cliffs. Now gravity takes over. The earth responds. Scripture describes such moments with stark clarity. Isaiah 24:19 warns, the earth is utterly broken, violently shaken. Job 9:6 adds, he shakes the earth from its place. These passages do not speak only of dramatic earthquakes, but of foundations quietly failing stability, giving way beneath what people trust most. What makes this sign especially unsettling is how unnoticed it can be. No thunder, no alarms, just movement beneath the surface, reshaping lives one closure at a time. So the question remains, if the ground beneath our roads can shift quietly, what other foundations, social, economic, or spiritual, are already moving without being noticed?
The whole
Stay
lot.
with me as this pattern continues to reveal itself. After the land began to slide along California's coast, attention has shifted east. Now, the warning is not coming from hillsides or highways, but from beneath the ocean itself. Along Florida's Atlantic coast, scientists are observing something far more disturbing. The ground is not eroding slowly, it is failing suddenly. Monitoring stations began sending abnormal data just weeks ago. Sonar scans revealed massive sinkholes forming on the ocean floor, some more than 400 feet deep, appearing where stable seabed had existed only months earlier. These were not gradual depressions shaped by time. They appeared abruptly, with sharp edges, as if the ground had simply given way. At the same time, satellites detected methane plumes venting from beneath the seafloor, rising in visible columns through the water. These gas releases weaken surrounding sediment, fracture bedrock, and reduce the strength of the continental shelf itself. Scientists initially suspected equipment failure. The readings were that extreme, but repeated scans confirmed the same result. Florida's continental shelf is collapsing in real time. What makes this especially alarming is location. Florida is not known for earthquakes, yet seismic sensors are now registering unusual tremors in areas that have remained quiet for thousands of years. Underwater formations such as the Miami Terrace and the Florida Escarpment, long considered stable, are sinking faster than anything previously recorded. Experts warn that if even a small section of the shelf were to collapse rapidly, it could generate tsunami-like waves reaching the coast in under an hour. Coastal infrastructure, homes, ecosystems, and even critical sites like the Kennedy Space Center now face an uncertain future. Florida's geology makes the situation worse. The state rests on porous limestone, riddled with underground caverns and channels. As methane escapes through new fractures, it accelerates a destructive cycle. Gas release weakens the ground, weakening creates more fractures, and more fractures release more gas. Families are already being displaced in areas affected by sinkholes. Witnesses describe the sound of collapse as something unsettling. Not an explosion, not a quake, but the quiet noise of support disappearing. Scripture speaks directly to this kind of moment. Amos 9-6 says, "He calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out." It is a picture of stability being removed from below, not through chaos above, but through forces unseen. Florida's crisis raises a sobering question for the entire nation. How much of our security depends on foundations we never see? Stay with me as we continue to track what is unfolding, because this sign is still developing and its consequences may reach far beyond the shoreline. As the seafloor beneath Florida fractures and underwater sinkholes open without warning, the tension has shifted to what those voids may reveal. These collapses are not only geological events, they are openings into spaces that have remained sealed and unseen for centuries. In footage captured inside one of these deep underwater sinkholes, a large, fast-moving form appears briefly before vanishing into darkness. The environment itself makes the sighting extraordinary. These sinkholes are narrow vertical shafts plunging hundreds of feet down, filled with crushing pressure, near total darkness, and unstable walls. Life in such places is typically small, slow, and scarce. Yet the movement recorded here does not fit that pattern. The shape moves with speed and control, not drifting or struggling, but navigating deliberately through disturbed sediment. Its motion suggests awareness of its surroundings. It does not behave like a trapped animal or a creature startled by light. It moves as if it knows exactly where it is going. Then, just as suddenly, it disappears. The passage closes into silence, leaving only suspended silt and unanswered questions. Marine specialists reviewing the footage have struggled to classify what they see. The size exceeds that of known cave-dwelling species. The speed defies expectations for organisms adapted to low-energy environments. It does not match the movement of sharks, rays, eels, squid, or whales. Even skeptics admit the encounter does not align with what is currently documented. What unsettles many observers is not only the creature itself, but the timing. As sinkholes multiply and fractures spread across the continental shelf, new pathways are opening beneath the ocean floor. Caverns once sealed are now exposed. Spaces that...
There's a few sinkholes happening, isn't there? Mainly in South America, like Chile and that.
Pressure and darkness are venting, collapsing, and connecting. When boundaries shift, what was contained can move. Scripture describes such a moment plainly. Revelation 20:13 says, "The sea gave up the dead that were in it." This is not a statement about biology, but about release. In biblical language, the sea represents the deep, the hidden, the restrained. When it gives up what it holds, it signals a removal of containment. The verse does not explain what emerges. It simply declares that the sea will no longer keep its secrets. Whether this encounter was an undiscovered species, a rare anomaly, or something not yet understood, the implication is the same.
It's something not yet understood, otherwise we'd know it by now. We're in the last days.
Moved where nothing was expected to move. Something emerged from a place that was supposed to remain sealed. And if the deep is beginning to open, this may not be the last thing revealed. Stay with me as we continue following what is coming to the surface next, because these signs are still unfolding, and the sea may not be finished speaking. What has unfolded across the United States cannot be explained as a string of unrelated disasters. These events did not occur in isolation, nor did they arrive slowly over decades. They appeared together across regions, systems, and layers of creation, forming a pattern that grows clearer the longer it is observed. The sky was the first to signal disruption. Across the West Coast, atmospheric rivers stalled over California, releasing historic amounts of rain in days instead of weeks. Floodwaters overwhelmed neighborhoods, collapsed hillsides, and forced evacuations. At the same time, snow and ice paralyzed the Rockies, fog grounded flights in the Midwest, and violent storms struck the Southeast. Weather systems stopped behaving like passing events. They lingered, locked in place, compounding damage and exhausting emergency response. Scripture warned of this kind of instability. Luke 21:11 speaks of fearful signs from heaven, not as spectacles meant to impress, but as signals of disorder when the natural rhythms of creation begin to fail. Storms that refuse to move, skies that no longer clear, and systems that no longer reset point to something deeper than weather alone. Then the land responded. Along California's coast, excessive rain saturated cliffs and hillsides until the ground itself began to move. Landslides closed major highways, cut off communities, disrupted schools, and delayed emergency services. The Pacific Coast Highway, long a symbol of connection and permanence, now slides inch by inch toward the ocean.
Wow.
The danger is not sudden collapse, but quiet, continuous movement, foundations shifting while the surface still appears intact. Isaiah 24:19 describes this moment plainly. The earth is utterly broken, violently shaken. Job 9-6 adds, He shakes the earth from its place. These passages do not only speak of earthquakes, but of stability being withdrawn. Trust in the ground beneath daily life, quietly eroding. While floods overwhelmed some regions, water vanished in others. In the Southwest, Lake Powell continues its relentless decline. Once engineered to never run dry, it now approaches Deadpool, the point where power generation stops. Recovery has ceased. Even improved snowpack fails to restore levels. Electricity, agriculture, and city life depend on a reservoir that no longer replenishes. Isaiah 42:15 echoes with unsettling clarity. I will make the rivers dry. In Scripture, drying water
I was making a cake out of a mixing bowl. Would I get away with that?
often mark turning points, moments when human confidence collapses and dependence is exposed. As one part of the nation drowns, another watches its lifeline withdraw. Then water itself changed behavior. Along California's Bay Area, the sea surged inland as king tides collided with storm surge. Roads flooded, neighborhoods submerged, businesses closed.
Last, when God wants me to stop smoking pot, he'll tell me. He told me when to get off the methadone and I obeyed him. So I listened to him. And if he tells me to get off the pot, I will.
And the water did not recede. Between tide cycles, it lingered, holding ground as if boundaries no longer applied. Genesis 7:11 records a similar moment. All the fountains of the great deep burst forth. Luke 21:25 warns of the sea and the waves roar. These are not descriptions of storms alone, but of restraint being lifted the deep, responding to forces
Andrew, I'll send it by post, but I'll wipe the fingerprints off it.
Beyond human control. In the southeast, rain fell the color of blood. Red, wine-colored precipitation stained streets in Louisiana, Alabama, and Arkansas. It appeared without storm buildup and vanished within minutes. No clear explanation followed.
And Vas, I'm the sort of guy with God and Jesus, you don't have to tell me twice. If I know it's you, Jesus, I'll do whatever you say.
Rain, a symbol of blessing and
And Vast, when I got off methadone, I got about 20% more of my intelligence back. But the biggest thing I got back was my emotions. Because for all them drug years, you just got no emotions because you're too hard-hearted. But you get your emotions back when you jump off it all. And I was really surprised at that because I forgot I had them.
Newell arrived as a sign of unease. Joel 2:30 foretold such signals. I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. In Scripture, blood signifies life, judgment, and reckoning. When it appears where cleansing is expected, it demands attention. Then the foundations beneath the sea began to fail. Off Florida's Atlantic coast, sonar revealed massive underwater sinkholes forming abruptly. Methane plumes vented from the seafloor. Seismic sensors detected tremors in regions long considered stable. This was not erosion, it was collapse. Amos 9-6 speaks directly to this moment. He calls for the waters of the sea and pours them out upon the face of the earth. It is a picture of support being removed from below, not through visible chaos above, but through unseen forces beneath. And as those voids opened, something else appeared. Footage from deep underwater sinkholes captured a large, fast-moving form, navigating the darkness with control and intention before vanishing into unseen passages. Scientists could not classify it. The environment itself made the encounter extraordinary. Revelation 20:13 states, "The sea gave up the dead that were in it." This is not a biological explanation, but a declaration of release. In biblical language, the sea represents the hidden and restrained. When it gives up what it holds, secrecy ends. Light appeared where it should not.
I thought the sea represented the nations.
Water glowed where it never had. Storms stalled. The land slid. The deep opened. Matthew 24-33 says, "When you see all these things, know that he is near." Luke 21:28 adds, "When these things begin to happen, lift up your heads." The instruction is not panic, but discernment. These signs do not feel like final judgment. They feel like alignment, like an overture, not a finale. They unsettle without destroying. They expose fragility without yet collapsing everything. When heaven, earth, sea, and human systems all speak at once, the message is no longer subtle. The question is no longer whether the signs are real. The question is whether we are willing to listen. Scripture has always drawn a clear line between awareness and prediction. Dates are forbidden. Discernment is commanded. The Bible does not invite speculation about timelines, but it repeatedly urges watchfulness when patterns emerge and restraint begins to loosen. What we are witnessing does not resemble a sudden ending. It resembles a threshold. Throughout Scripture, before major turning points, there is a recognizable season. Systems that once held firm begin to strain. Boundaries that once contained begin to soften. What was hidden starts to surface. Not all at once, and not everywhere, but enough to signal that something fundamental is shifting.
All this political drama around the world, that's been brought on by Trump. You going now, Kai?
Yeah. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Okay,
Probably 3 weeks.
Okay. Love you, Kai.
Love ya. See ya.
These moments are not marked by a single catastrophe. They are marked by convergence. Creation begins to speak in multiple ways at the same time. The sky behaves differently. The land responds unexpectedly. The waters either overwhelm or withdraw. Foundations once trusted begin to fail quietly. None of these signs alone would demand urgency. Together, they form a language Scripture has described for centuries. The warning is not that the end has arrived. The warning is that normal assumptions no longer apply. Revelation 3-3 records a sobering
Yeah, I may as well not exist, eh?
I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what hour I will come upon you. The emphasis is not on the hour. It is on being awake before the hour arrives. In biblical terms, a thief does not announce his arrival. He comes when people assume safety, continuity, and routine. When life feels stable enough to stop watching. When tomorrow is expected to look like today.
Get theft cover for the things you can't live without. Insurance that's a bit more U-shaped. Yui, you insured.
Here you go.
Right now, get the hard-working 1-ton Deliver 7 diesel auto back with a 7-year what?
That is why Scripture repeatedly calls for alertness, not fear, discernment, not panic, awareness, not obsession. The signs described in Scripture are not designed to terrify. They are designed to interrupt complacency, to remind humanity that the systems it relies on are not ultimate, that creation itself is subject to a higher authority, and that moments of transition rarely announce themselves clearly to those who are not paying attention. What makes this season unsettling is not destruction alone, but exposure.
Andrew, the Muslims tried to do that here at the beginning of 2000, just before the Sydney Olympics. And what they were doing, one of them would crack onto a girl and take her to the park, and he'd bring all his mates, and you can imagine what happened after that. And some girls got done by like 20 men. They got busted, and they got the book thrown at them, and some of them are still in jail now. So we nipped that in the head really quick.
Exposure of fragile systems, exposure of misplaced confidence, exposure of how quickly normal life can be disrupted. These signs do not yet carry the finality of judgment. They carry the tension of warning, the feeling that something is approaching, not suddenly, but steadily, like footsteps heard at a distance. Scripture shows that before major shifts, people are not asked to calculate timelines. They are asked to examine themselves, to watch, to remain sober-minded, to recognize when the ground beneath certainty begins to move. This is why the question is not when. The question is whether we are awake, whether we are listening, whether we are willing to recognize that this moment may be preparation, not conclusion.
Yeah.
If this is the moment before the moment, then the greatest danger is not disaster.
No, that's because they're too gutless to stand up to them, and the politicians don't want to lose their vote. The ones we got here, we do have Muslims here, and the Prime Minister loves them, and he lets a lot of them in. And he's been a real drag on the Australian economy, letting them in because they've got nowhere to live. But so we are getting trouble off them doing that. But it's not like it is in England. Like they haven't got enough here to override the coppers.
It is assumption. The belief that tomorrow must look the same simply because yesterday did. Thank you for staying with us through this investigation and for taking the time to reflect on these signs. Your engagement, thoughts, and willingness to discern matter more than ever. If this message resonated with you, thank you for watching, for sharing your perspective, and for continuing to walk with us as we watch, listen, and seek understanding together.
So imagine a cube 6 miles across, deep and high, and that's how much lava came out.
Every few years, Yellowstone shows up in the headlines for its terrible damage eruption. But you know what? Yellowstone isn't the worst thing Earth has ever created. There is another force, one that has wiped out nearly all species on the planet before, one that shaped Yellowstone itself, and one that will rise again. And once you understand what it is, and how many times it has rewritten life on Earth, Yellowstone suddenly feels small. So, what's the thing big enough to end nearly everything? The most terrible destroy than ever. For many people in the United States, especially those living in the Northwest, the eruption of Mount St. Helens is the benchmark for what a massive volcano looks like. It was, after all, the largest eruption ever recorded.
I remember that, but I was too young to appreciate what happened.
In the continental U.S.
That wiped out more than atom bombs in the area, didn't it? This was really, really destructive.
Powerful enough to trigger the biggest landslide ever seen on Earth. But our planet is much more stronger. When Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991, it released energy 10 times greater than St. Helens and cooled the Earth by nearly a full degree Fahrenheit. And even that pales in comparison to the 1,815 eruption of Mount Tambora, which was 10 times larger than Pinatubo. Tambora didn't just alter weather patterns.
So they're getting heaps and heaps stronger every year. Wow.
Created the infamous year without a summer, plunging entire regions into crop failure and famine. Then, towering over all of these events, is Yellowstone, an eruption 1,000 times more powerful than Street Helens.
St.
Yellowstone
Helens, not
has
Street
erupted
Helens.
3 times in truly explosive.
This would have to be an AI, wouldn't it, saying Street Heavens and not St. Heavens?
Explosive fashion around 2.1 million years ago, then 3 million years ago, and finally about 631,000 years ago. That last eruption was so immense it carved out the Yellowstone caldera, the massive basin that now forms the heart of Yellowstone National Park. Lava and volcanic debris poured across the landscape, stacking into layers hundreds of feet thick, while sulfur aerosols and ash wrapped around the earth and cooled the planet for years. So the question everyone always comes back to is, what would happen if Yellowstone erupted again? Scientists explain that eruptions of this scale eventually collapse under their own weight. The ash plumes rise so high and become so heavy that they collapse in on themselves, releasing terrifying currents of superheated gas and ash that race across the land and erase everything in their path. Anything near the blast zone wouldn't stand a chance, but the destruction wouldn't end there. Far beyond the immediate explosion, ash would begin falling in thick, suffocating layers. Areas stretching from Missoula into Canada and all the way down into Colorado and Utah would be buried under so much volcanic ash that daylight could disappear in the middle of the afternoon. And this ash wouldn't just settle nearby, it would travel around the world, circling the globe several times. Unlike wildfire ash, volcanic ash is made of razor-sharp rock fragments. It doesn't rot, it doesn't break down, and it doesn't blow away. It simply stays. The fallout would disrupt or shut down communication systems. Ash would blanket farms across the nation's bread belt, wiping out crops and triggering widespread food shortages. And to make matters worse, a supervolcano doesn't always erupt just once. The Earth can deliver a series of blows over weeks, months, or even years. Yet even with all these catastrophic effects, scientists say the most terrifying part might not be the destruction itself, but the global cooling that follows. We may not know the exact number, but several degrees of cooling happening suddenly, not gradually, would reshape weather patterns, collapse ecosystems, and destabilize societies in ways we've never experienced in human history. The consequences would ripple across every continent. And still, as unimaginable as all of this sounds, Yellowstone is not the worst thing the Earth has in store. Something is much more bigger than Yellowstone. When most people think about volcanic disasters, Yellowstone usually sits at the top of the fear list. But if we widen the lens a little, we start to see something far more overwhelming, something that shaped entire regions of the United States long before Yellowstone ever existed. At one point in Earth's history, an unbelievable amount of lava poured out across what is now eastern
Vast. Russia, you can't do that in Russia. They've banned homosexuality and they've banned LTBG dogma from their schools.
Washington, eastern Oregon, and West.
I think that era is over. It was a fad the Earth went through. Now all of them have started to grow up and they're looking back and they see how stupid it is. Like men can't give birth to women or change sex. And now they're looking at how stupid it is. And the wokes are starting to die, thank Christ.
Eastern Idaho, spreading so far that it eventually reached the Pacific Ocean through the Columbia River Gorge. Those towering cliffs surrounding the gorge today, they aren't mountains. They're frozen waves of ancient lava. In the deepest sections of the Columbia River flood basalts, the rock is more than 4 kilometers thick, which gives us a sense of just how massive this event was. And strangely enough, Yellowstone itself is a leftover imprint of that same enormous eruption. It's a hotspot, a lingering opening in the Earth's crust that formed after that catastrophic event and hasn't completely sealed shut. This hotspot just sits there, mostly unmoving, while the crust above it keeps drifting. You can actually see the trail it left behind, just like the aging chain of volcanoes stretching across Hawaii. The volcanic centers leading southwest from Yellowstone get older the farther away they are. Events on this scale don't happen every few thousand years like regular volcanic eruptions. They erupt every 10 to 30 million years, and the Columbia River flood basalt was simply the most recent one, not the biggest. If we really want to talk about size, we have to look at events like the Deccan Traps, the Siberian Traps, and the North Atlantic Igneous Province. These weren't volcanoes, they were planetary transformations involving millions of cubic kilometers of magma erupting in an extremely short window of time. It took a surprisingly long time for scientists to put all of this together. Plate tectonics didn't gain wide acceptance until the 1,960 seconds, and large igneous provinces weren't truly recognized until the 1,990 seconds. Once they were, they completely shifted how we think about life, death, and the cycles of the Earth. For decades, geologists didn't pay much attention to mass extinctions because the causes seemed unexplainable. But in 1980, when the Alvarez Group discovered evidence of an asteroid impact at the dinosaur extinction boundary, the scientific world suddenly had a new question. If something from space could wipe out life, could something inside the Earth do the same? As researchers began comparing extinction events with the newly mapped timelines of large igneous provinces,
so do I.
the dates started lining up almost perfectly. Over the past 600 million years, we've had roughly 14 to 15 mass extinctions.
Yeah, Vars, Putin calls it like it is. They're fighting the satanic forces, and we know that. We know that for sure.
Nearly all of them matching the timing of these enormous volcanic episodes. And that naturally raises the question, how can something regional have global consequences? At the start of these events, unimaginable quantities of lava erupt across vast regions.
Okay, guy, good night, God bless.
Release
I can't
of
see where you
gases,
said.
carbon dioxide, sulfur, and other volatiles that pour into the atmosphere. Scientists believe that the immediate burst of CO2 alone was enough to heat the planet dramatically. After almost every major igneous province event, the global climate shifts into a hothouse world, with temperatures rising far above typical levels for millions of years. And what makes these events so destructive is that the initial warming happens fast, far faster than ecosystems can adapt, triggering massive die-offs.
Good night, Talia.
But after that initial burst of chaos, life eventually rebounds. Once the climate stabilizes, even at higher temperatures, evolution finds its footing again, and biodiversity begins to expand. The Earth is remarkably resilient, but only on long timescales. It adapts slowly, and it does not respond well to sudden, violent changes. And that's the part that should feel uncomfortably familiar. Many scientists now believe we're entering what could be considered a sixth mass extinction, but this time, the trigger isn't coming from a deep plume of magma or an asteroid impact. It's coming from us. Paleoclimatologists studying the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, an extreme global temperature spike 56 million years ago, likely tied to a large igneous province, discovered that Earth warmed by 4 to 6 degrees Celsius and experienced dramatic changes. Yet even that event, catastrophic as it was, happened 4 to 10 times slower than the rate of carbon emissions we're producing today. Is this God's warning? For many, these strange events are simply geological coincidences, the restless motions of a living planet. But for others, especially those who look at the world through the lens of Scripture, the signs in Yellowstone may be more than just natural phenomena. They could be warnings written into the very fabric of creation, pointing us back to the one who set the earth in place. The Bible often describes how God uses the natural world to get humanity's attention. In the Old Testament, the prophet Nahum wrote,
Okay, guys, God bless.
5. The mountains quake before him, the hills melt, and the earth heaves at